All right, Chris. So myself and maybe a couple of the guys here at the pod wanted to make sure that we got you something for an awesome year. So thank
So
you.
acai bowl?
If you open that up, make sure you get it on the camera.
It's the Patrick Mahomes
Show the
chocolate
camera.
cake.
Show
That's
the
a
camera.
flourless chocolate
Oh
cake.
man, that's cool.
From Marie Bet.
Thank you, Marie Bet, for
Marie Bet or
this
Petite Marie
painful
Bet?
reminder of what happened last night. But I can't eat chocolate.
Oh, I'll
I'm very
take it.
sensitive
Yeah, I'll take it.
to
No problem.
chocolate. Here you go.
Thank you.
That is fucking sick. Today's Super Bowl show is sponsored by Crown Royal. They hooked us up in Phoenix. We had the drinks flowing last night during the Crown Royal live stream. And now we've got them on the table here. We've got a bunch of different flavors of Crown. So if you're an Eagles fan and 5 o'clock comes early today, maybe you woke up and you wanted to reach for some Crown, do that. There's a lot of flavors, a lot of varieties, and they are the sponsors of our show. So thank you, Crown. Crown Royal. Live generously and life will treat you royally. Please drink responsibly. Macon, I want you to see something. This is the only reason I'm able to wake up this morning.
Oh, you were on purple.
Yeah, for a small fortune.
Good for you.
Yeah.
What is it? Purple?
Purple Gatorade.
Oh.
When the game wrapped
A lot of
after the
chickens.
Eagles lost, I had heard it was clear. One of the guys in here told me it was clear. I went home. I thought I won, I don't know, like a
Couple bucks.
couple chickens, but I won double those chickens. So,
Purple.
Good
all
for
right.
you.
So to you out there that picked purple, congratulations. To Eagles fans everywhere, I know you're crushed. I was crushed, but maybe we should start talking about the call. Start the show talking about the call, because that's what everybody was talking about when they turned the TV off last night. When it happened, I listened to Greg Olson. Okay? I was incensed when I went home. As a football fan, as an Eagles fan, the whole thing. I sat there and I was like, I really do believe if I objectively watched that game in the second half of the game, and me as an Eagles fan, I was sitting there thinking, this is the best Super Bowl in history. And it was going to end that way. But the refs took it into their hands, and as I drove home, I was pissed off. Like most people, getting ready to go to bed, I see the James Bradberry tweet, which says that he did hold him, and that he tugged his jersey. And he said so much as to say, I was hoping they let it ride, and I was using it as momentum to get back out with the wheel route.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw Nick Sirianni's comments, and he said, that's not why we lost the game. Then I saw Jason Kelsey's comments, and I said, all right, in this situation, you could say nobody's called holding the rest of the game. The Juju call went, you remember the Juju missed hold, less consequential situation, but they let it ride. If these guys are going to say it's a hold, I'll go with that.
Yeah. It
I'll
makes
go with
me
that.
feel better about how it all went down, because even as a Chiefs fan, and I come in here happy this morning, even as a Chiefs fan, I feel like we were robbed a bit of an unobscured ending where the Chiefs get to go down and score without a flag being on the field, and time runs out and the Chiefs win, and there's no questions about it. But everybody, rightfully so, has questions. But I'm glad that the tweet came out and he said, hey, I shouldn't have fucking grabbed him, and I hope I got away with it, but I didn't.
What we got robbed of was Jalen Hurts with 1 minute and 20 seconds to go and 35 yards to gain, 45 yards to gain, with no timeouts. They didn't have one because of one of the delay of game situations. Now, granted, they would have called maybe 3 in that situation and ended up with more time. But the point being, that's what we got robbed of.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee the Eagles would have won that game. In fact, I think the Chiefs, more likely than not.
But people watch people watch all the minutes of the game to watch the 2-minute drives, to watch the great players like Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes see what they got.
I know. And, hey, listen, again, I said, hey, those guys are saying it's a hold. James Bradberry says it's a hold. The players on the Eagles are not protesting the game.
Pereira said it was a hold.
And initially, when it happened, I thought, Remember, I was like, it might be a hold.
At the very beginning of
But
the
they didn't show
highlight.
the angle.
They didn't. They showed a highlight after the hold.
They showed the angle from the left side of the field. And from the right side of the field, that's where you're able to get that still shot of the jersey
grab.
being tugged. And when the jersey's tugged, that's one of these things that officials key in on. If you see a jersey being pulled, they're going to pull that
Same
flag.
thing with holding.
Now, you could say that
on offensive line.
And you could say that they haven't been calling it the whole game. I would say that's true. You could say that this is a tough situation to make that call. I would say that's true. But by the letter of the law, that is a hold. Inside 5 yards doesn't matter. It's not DPI. And that's the end of the game.
And when you're on the outside of the field like that, and they tell this to tackles a lot, particularly when they're on the front side of plays, you're exposed. People have visibility to your block, so you have to be really on your P's and Q's with your hands. They were letting those guys play inside for sure. Yep. There was a lot of holds. There was a lot of late hits. But when you're on the edge at receiver, at DB, in those big moments, you have to be so clean.
There can be two questions. Is it a hold? Probably so. And then should it have been called in that spot? I think that's where it gets to be a bit more of a conversation.
And what do you think on question 2?
I think it would have been better tolerated if it was not called, and then the Chiefs go up 3, and we have the Eagles' chance to go march back down and tie it or take the lead. I think that's the better route to have taken.
Now, the Eagles did get some calls. I mean, you just mentioned the Juju holding on a 3rd and 8. At a point in the game where it felt like teams are going to score as long as they don't get into 3rd and long and something goes wrong. I mean, there was a hold over the middle on Juju that led to a punt. The Goddard catch was 50-50.
Bolton might have scored twice.
That was incredible.
Yes. And you had the Watkins drop, by the way. We should mention that in the mishap section. But this was one. Before the A.J. Brown bomb, it's 3rd and 4. Frank Clark jumps off sides. They missed a Sayamalu false start. So it wasn't Frank. It was actually Isaac.
My tweet was live by the sword, die by the sword, # Frank Clark, because obviously he loves jumping the count. You know that as a rusher.
No question.
But then you go to look at the replay, and it's like, well, I'm not going to delete my tweet now, but it was the guard.
Yeah, and if he's queuing in on that guard and the guard moved, I mean, he had reason to jump off.
It's a savvy move.
So there were calls that went both ways in this game. And unfortunately, I think we're all just we all wanted to, whether you're an Eagles fan, you want to see the Eagles have a chance. Whether you're an objective, everyday football fan, you wanted to see that finish. I think the only people that are happy right now, 100%, are Chiefs fans. And you know what? Like, moving past the call, the Chiefs did enough to deserve to win this game. They were great. They were great offensively. They did enough defensively in certain spots. I mean, they forced that turnover. They did. They pressured Jalen Hurts into making a mistake.
To get out of there, yeah.
And I wonder, Kyle, on that 3rd and 5 or whatever it was, when they ran that quarterback draw, they ran the quarterback draw up into a Nick Bolton mugged up look. He was unblocked because of the numbers.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it again. In the heat of the moment, you're watching the turnovers happen and stuff, and you don't even go back and look at the replay.
But nobody blocks Nick Bolton. He's mugged up, and next thing you know, Jalen Hurts is standing right next to him trying to make a move. He drops the ball. And, for the Eagles, who have forced a bunch of turnovers, they did not force turnovers in this game. And, as we talk about the call, okay, we'll put that to bed. I think the real travesty here, if you want a travesty, watching this game, was the grass. You want to talk about an NFL script, they needed a script for some new grass, if you know what I mean. What's the name of this Tahoma 41?
31.
31? Canceled. That grass, big debut. We don't want to see it anymore. And, they roll that grass into the big toaster. They grow it outside. It's really cool. I retweeted
Joe Pompliano.
Yeah, I retweeted a breakdown.
Shout out to Joe Pompliano, who has amazing content on Twitter. But yesterday, sometimes you swing and you miss.
Well, we all
swung and missed because it looked beautiful. The guy's 94. He's been doing it since,
I played in that stadium once a year.
The French and Indian War.
But I think he's just growing it. It's Dr. Yankee Wu who started the process of creating Tahoma 31 in 2006 by combining China, Bermuda, and African Bermuda. Yeah. I think Joe's just in there making this stuff grow.
Okay.
It's Dr. Wu who thought, well, this might suit a football field.
Dr. Wu is Walter White, and this guy's
Probably
Jesse
feels
Pinkman.
like the guy that invented
and he's
the hydrogen
fucking off.
bomb.
You got it.
Look what this has turned into. And I played there once a year. It was never this bad. Okay, there were guys slipping left and right. You have.
I remember playing there. I don't even remember what the surface was. That's how
It's
not
grass.
bad it was.
But it wasn't Toloma 31 or whatever
No.
the fuck it is. Sorry. So, right off the bat, Devontae Smith coming on a crosser, Willie Gay's trying to pick him up. He slips. Kelsey's slipping on his touchdown celebration.
Both
trying to get up.
quarterbacks slipping, stepping up in the pocket.
Yep, Pacheco's slipping. The rushers are slipping. I think, we'll talk about Wiley in a second. Those guys, they did a great job.
They were balling out.
But the rushers had to play a different game at times. You could see Hassan Reddick trying to get to the edge and do his kind of stuff where he needs to sink half a cleat in the ground and get the edge. And he couldn't do that stuff. So then you force guys to go to more power and that sort of thing.
They sat on the bull. They sat on the bull extremely well.
Yep.
Earlier on, the rushes were up. They were doing a lot of upfield rushes on Orlando, and he was taking a great vertical set, staying square. But we saw Sweat get home one time, just bending that edge, and I was concerned about it. But then, to your point, that grass all over the field, it robbed us of a lot of explosive plays, yards after catch. Guys were catching the ball, trying to make a move, and they were just going straight down.
And conversely, some
in the
guys,
Super Bowl,
like Hassan Reddick is he's dropping, but he's essentially the edge on one of these conversion type situations. Patrick's about to leave the pocket, and Hassan sees it, and he's 4 yards off the ball. He goes to cut and take an angle to Patrick, and he can't do it. So it was a factor all night, and I just think on the biggest stage, especially when we talk about domes and fucking playing outside and that sort of thing, I got an idea. Grow real grass. Play outside.
Play in a pasture.
Play that bitch in Miami, dude. You can do all this stuff to make it a hospitable place for the people to come and party, for the people to navigate the city, for there to be enough hotel rooms. But on Sunday, the purpose for everybody traveling to Phoenix, Arizona, we don't get everything out of it because the playing surface isn't great.
Why don't
I'm not
you test
saying
it out?
affected the Eagles more than the.
Why don't you test it out before the Super Bowl?
And we did, and that's the crazy thing. Like I remember we'd go for walkthrough, and I would bring cleats, 2 days before, because I want to know how the surface is. There's a lot of chatter about how the surface is. Coaches, when in doubt, will tell everybody getting 7 studs, which are cleats with more spikes to give you more grip. I don't know if that conversation was had, but you could see during the game the frantic feeling of changing cleats. And the tough thing about changing cleats is maybe not all your cleats are broken in, which is a big deal in the NFL. Guys want to break their cleats in. So it was a shit show.
And you got to take your spat off. You got to take your, whatever off. Get a new spat. There's only so many trainers giving spats.
It's a distraction.
Everybody was doing the victory lap for the grass before the game. It made it sound like this was going to be the first time we saw it on a football field. It's on golf courses everywhere, but this was going to be the first time on a football field.
Well, I can tell you as a golfer, it doesn't work.
I liked the slipping and the sliding. Nobody got hurt. I think it added a neat element to the game. I appear to be on an island with that take.
I liked it because it stopped a lot of explosives for the Eagles.
Yeah. Well, there were 73 points. I mean, it wasn't 6-3 because
you're
of Tahoma
absolutely-
31.
I think from a net standpoint, it helped the offenses.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, it slowed down rushers. People trying to cut.
People playing reactionary are going to be at a disadvantage.
It's always a bigger deal when skill guys fall down for the defense.
100%.
Because you're going to get that yak. You're going to get situations where there are explosive plays that weren't there and situations in coverage. But the reason the Chiefs won this game, Kyle, it's 2 things. First off, it's halftime. It's a 30-minute halftime. I remember going into halftime saying they're down 24-14. You're giving Andy Reid 30 minutes. He's essentially going to have a first 15.
Mm-hmm.
This is a situation where while Rihanna's out there cooking, so is Andy Reid in the bowels of the stadium. He's cooking something in the bowels. And
making a couple touchdown babies.
Yeah, he's
like
making
Rihanna was making some babies.
He's converting some cheeseburgers into tutties.
They used to have
Easy,
Rocky
Terry
Works
Bradshaw.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Waddle over here, big boy.
Okay, I don't even want to talk about it, but
It was mean.
yeah, well,
How old are you now? You going to retire? Fat boy?
Who?
Terry. Yikes. Terry was giving Andy Reid the business.
Was
Maybe
he?
they
Yeah.
know each other and they do those jokes, and he forgot
That's
that
bad.
he was on TV.
It was big guy, big guy. Come on, waddle over here.
The waddle over here.
Yeah.
Can't do
Anyways.
that to the legend.
Nah.
Speaking of waddling, those big boys up front were waddling, and they came out that first drive, and it was evident they were going to run the fucking ball some more. And I think that was the difference in the game. Your guy Andy Heck, my guy, he recruited me at Virginia. Andy, you played for Andy. The run game for them was huge, and when they came out in the second half, they really pressed edges. Jet sweeps. You had Pacheco on the edge. You had different looks, different actions to get to the same run plays. I mean, there were so many moving parts. It slowed the Eagles' defensive line down. And then Mahomes obviously willing them to win that first drive, coming out. He's got Jordan Davis on his back. That low throw to Kelsey picking it off the turf.
What a great catch.
It's just, and a throw, it's just the magic of the Chiefs and those two guys and their connection. The Eagles tried everything in their power to slow him down, maybe not enough, but it was evident from the first drive, whether it was man or zone, that the Chiefs had answers to get the ball to Travis Kelce.
So I know that before the half, and I was the guy that would stand next to Andy Heck during the games, and I would have whatever we'd call, I'd write it down, which direction we go, which hash we were on, and then he would say, keep a list of plays that you like, that you've seen this game, and give it to me at the end of the first half. And on my way into the locker room, I'm going to look at it, and we're going to go over the run plays, and when I go meet with Coach, that'll be what I'm going to present. My list and his list and a couple other guys.
Yep.
Clearly they went in, picked the right lottery numbers, but in the first half, we saw Pacheco get the ball. We saw gap schemes for the Chiefs, things that were not characteristic of them, evidently, showing up more often than we thought. And when they needed runs, when everybody in the stadium knew that the Chiefs had to run it, they ran the ball. Pacheco ran it so physically. He took a shot from Gardner Johnson in the chest. It was a scary time. They went straight to the TV timeout. I almost looked away for a second. It's I was thinking it had shades of DeMar Hamlin to it a bit.
Yeah, he hit him hard. He hit him really hard. And we were just talking to Brian Dawkins.
But the running game, to your point, Andy Heck, can't say enough about Andy Heck and the job he's done with that young O-line.
We were talking to Brian Dawkins about this on, what day was it? I don't know. We'll get to that in a little bit. Wednesday. And his favorite player is C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who not only decleated Pacheco on that play, but then decleated him on the play that probably goes for a touchdown around the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, the run game was huge, Kyle. I also thought, when you talk about my biggest worry going in this game was Reid and Mahomes. It's Jalen Hurts, great quarterback, and he played outstanding. We'll talk about him in a second. Would have been the MVP had they won the game, but the best quarterback in the game, and I'd say at this point top 5 all time, because when you look at it, there's only a few players with multiple Super Bowl rings, and I went through the list last night, and there's only a couple that I can count in his echelon right now. It's obviously Tom Brady, it's Joe Montana, it's Peyton Manning, and Patrick Mahomes in there. I mean, what he's done in this short span is nothing short of amazing. And Andy Reid with not only 2 weeks, but then 30 minutes. And in the second half, what they did is as Dan Orlovsky put it this morning, they paid attention. They set up their motion, which a big deal for them. We said coming in the game was going to be communication pre-snap, motioning. They can move Travis Kelce around. They could do all this stuff.
Tony.
Well, when they got in the red zone, the first touchdown that Tony scored as a Chief was a jet sweep.
Yep.
Okay, so they're watching the way the Eagles are handling the motion, and obviously you do that trade where some people I think call it banjo and that sort of thing, where the corner
banjo
who's going to run with the motioning wide receiver from the opposite side of the field is going to replace the safety, and then the safety is going to come down and take that and out leverage that motion guy.
Jet sweep.
Yeah. Well, they're looking at the jet sweep, and they get Slay on the first touchdown in the red zone. And these are big moments. By the way, the Eagles, who were really good in the red zone, were terrible in the red zone. The Chiefs scored every fucking time if it weren't for the game-winning field goal. The unforgivable mistake is doing it again. James Bradberry, who had the biggest call of the game, who showed a lot of poise and class in admitting that was, a hold. Probably the biggest play of the game for him was that I think it was 3rd and 5. It was 3rd and goal, and it had just happened to Slay, and they do it again. So this from The Athletic, this is from Rustin Dodd. We're talking about Phillies coverage. It reads, on Saturday night, Bieniemy had put a play up on the screen for everyone on the Chiefs offense to see. It came from the Eagles game against the Jaguars earlier this season, and it featured Jacksonville receiver Jamal Agnew.
I knew it all along.
Faking as if he were going in motion before stopping, reversing course, and getting open for a touchdown. That's that Week 4 game that I was at, and that's how far back in the NFL you look and you find wrinkles that you can exploit, and that was the one. I mean, we talked about they learned it in-game, but that was only confirmation of what they had a hunch on.
Eric B.
Evidently. Andy Reid, his brilliance, the motion, the adjustments, the run game, like they just put on a fucking clinic. And Gannon, who I really like, is going to continue to interview for jobs. This isn't the best way to enter into those interviews. This was a lot of points, and in the second half, I mean, it was 24 of them.
And the way the looks set up
No, yeah, it was 24 of them in the second half.
The way these looks set up other plays, like the Kadarius Toney jet sweep motion, they do the fly motion again, and then he puts the ABS on, reverses out.
Yep.
And that banjo look is negated because now you've rotated your corner to safety, your safety to corner on the other side,
Yep.
and there's nobody on the ass end when Kadarius Toney comes out, gold grill and all, naked.
And he's going to be great for them. We said that when the trade was made. Like, he's a guy that's part of their future. And how about Giants fans last night? Probably maybe one of the America's teams for Kadarius Toney to beat their foes, the Eagles.
It was a fine night for Giants fans.
It ended up being a good pick because they were able to ship them to the team.
They're happy.
That beat the Eagles.
Right.
So this is maybe one of the best bad picks in the history of the Giants franchise. But, I thought, coming into this game, and we said it, our friend Andrew Wiley, this is the funniest shit. I woke up to a comment from Andrew Wiley under one of our Mina Kimes socials where I mentioned that. I thought that the Hassan Reddick-Wiley matchup was going to be a bit of a mismatch. It just didn't seem like the kind of compatibility that you'd need to block a dynamic edge rusher. Is like all he does is – not all he does is speed, but it felt like a matchup where he was going to hit edges on Wiley. Wiley did a really good job. This morning, I woke up to a comment under one of our posts that said, I'll be in y'all's studio next week to talk about mismatches.
Get out here, Wiley.
And so come on out.
Please.
Okay. And the funniest thing.
So happy for Wiley.
Funniest thing about that is if you look at the time of that comment, I think like he was most definitely still awake.
Oh, yeah.
So he's just drunk looking at everybody, and I'll count myself in that massive humanity that thought that the Eagles were a mismatch up front for them on the edges, especially Hassan Reddick, who's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, on Andrew Wiley, a guy who struggled at times. But also, to be fair to him,
he always rises to the occasion, though. And last year, I was going to say,
TJ Watt.
Last year, you get ready to go play the Steelers, and TJ Watt has 48 sacks so far in the season.
Yes.
You go to playing with Andrew Wiley, and all the people on the outside are like, well, that's going to be a matchup that's not going to be very good. Yeah, they chip. Yeah, they have guys
and it was
going
like
from the
that
backfield.
last night.
But you know what,
Andrew
Wiley plays with an absence of fear. He really does go jump set guys. He uses his hands, sits on the bull rush, and he makes winning tough. He may not be like Lane Johnson at right tackle, but it's going to be a battle every play.
No, he deserves a lot of respect, man. I think he's turned into a nice player. And
they draft guys to replace him, and he fucking just continues to win out the job.
And to rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
And let me remind both of y'all that this episode of the Greenlight Pod is brought to you by Crown Royal.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
We got some Crown up here, so thank you very much, Crown Royal, for helping us out here.
Andrew Wiley turned a lot of these sets where Hassan was on his upfield shoulder into run blocks.
Yes.
He just sold out at the top of the rush to push Hassan by. Now, there was some slippage. There were quick throws. Their quick game was great. If you look at the percentage of throws under 2.5 seconds, Jacksonville 34%, Cincy 40%, and then against the Eagles 56%. So they were getting the pill out. They were also chipping. They chipped Hassan a number of times. Put a tight end on him and then chip on the way out, that sort of thing. He crossed the formation to pick him up with a back. They just mix these quick throws in with the efficient screens, and then they take a shot in play action. at the right time. When they did want to get more, when they did want to take a shot, it was less guys out in the route. It was more max pro, and they had answers when the Eagles went 5 down. Every time the Eagles went 5 down to try to get one-on-ones, they had answers. Whether it was a crosser, whether it was a quick option in the flat, like they had answers for that. So, Wiley held up well. He deserves a ton of credit. And the group took it personally. You could tell Trey Smith on the first drive, him and Fletch were doing some shoving after the play, and Trey Smith was pissed.
Yeah.
Like he was not backing down. Humphrey stayed on Davis on a huge scramble that essentially won them the game.
Those guys play so hard, man. I'm so happy for them.
Yes.
And I remember when they were puppies, when they first got to Kansas City last year, and they were all rookies.
Yep.
And now one's an all-pro, one's going to be a all-pro next year probably.
Yeah.
It's just fun to watch.
Well,
Super Bowl champs.
Here's the key, too. As well as the Chiefs' offensive line played, and they played really well, and they're well coached, Patrick Mahomes didn't hang them out to dry. He never hung them out to dry. On that scramble to win the game, Jordan Davis is the balance-up guy. Mahomes is moving so well in the pocket that Sue's not really running up the field blindly, but eventually he looks up and he's at like 10, 11 yards because Mahomes has drifted to 11.
And then he goes.
And then he steps right up.
Through everybody.
And all he's got to contend with is Jordan Davis, who's a 370-pound man. And he's got to move laterally and get off the vice grips of Creed Humphrey. It's not going to happen. So I thought that
State champ wrestler,
Patrick
Creed
Mahomes'
Humphrey.
drop target was good. He moved in the pocket well, and nobody got beat.
He stepped up really well.
Yeah, and nobody got beat to the point where you had to just deal with this huge mismatch.
There was no throw it.
Yep,
plays,
there was none of that.
which usually happens.
So
can we talk about the TJ? Okay, the play where Mahomes scrambled and he got rolled up on and he hurt his ankle before the half. That was the fastest, slowest scramble ever. He made 8 guys miss.
Yep.
It would look like a Tecmo Bowl play. That's really the only point I had on that play, but it was the slowest, fastest scramble ever.
Well, he always looks slower than he is.
But just fast enough.
He really does. And when he got hurt in that first half, you said, "Oh shit," because I could almost feel that thing. Like it's just the re-aggravation of that injury really hurts. But it was a good thing that the halftime was longer. They could treat, they could assess, keep him moving. And he came out and he looked like he wasn't hurt at all.
It's fabulous.
What do you do? Is that oral pain meds or is that shooting up?
None of us were in there, but you might go injection. You might go, you'd probably go injection. And you
2
keep it moving.
Toradol.
You keep it moving.
2 Toradol shots, 2 pills, Ultram, and then depending on what they're doing with Patrick's ankle. But when I had a high ankle, we were shooting down there, like lidocaine.
Yeah, lidocaine. That's what they use.
Rest,
broken
ice,
toe. They shot my toe
elevation.
with lidocaine.
Yeah, rice.
Yeah,
rice.
29 minutes worth of rice,
and then a cocktail of
quinoa.
Of drugs.
What's the acronym for quinoa?
That if it weren't that if it weren't the Super Bowl, you'd probably feel if you were sitting on your couch, you'd be like, "Damn, I'm buzzing right now."
Yeah.
But Patrick Mahomes was out there feeling no pain. So, he's a legend, man. Where he is right now in the game, I don't think we've ever seen it. The speed with which he's gotten to where he's gotten. And it's got to make you wonder, like there was talk about Andy Reid retiring, how much longer this extends his willingness to coach. Because they have an opportunity to really make a run at some special things.
He can get records, too. You talked about, like, Patrick Mahomes being top 5 all time. Andy Reid could be top 5 all time.
No question. I think he already probably is top 5 all time. I don't know. I don't want to be in the modern game for sure, at least.
Yeah, this century, yeah.
This century.
Who's
the top 5 I've opened up a wormhole.
Bill Belichick. Let's just start with Bill Belichick.
Don
People are
Shula.
going to talk about Don Shula, Tom Landry.
Bill Walsh.
They're going to talk about the guy in Pittsburgh.
Chuck Noll.
They're going to talk about fucking
Lombardi.
Lombardi. 2-time Super Bowl champ Tom
Chalice.
Coughlin.
So he's in that. He's climbing the ranks. And you got to be happy for Andy Reid. The aftermath, and like we talk about Chris Jones, because talking about the Eagles offense, Hurts was great. He had one massive mistake. We talked about Bolton and that mug look and him fumbling that ball, but he responded with a great touchdown drive. QB run game was great. That's what they had early. And one thing the Chiefs did a pretty good job of was stopping the run, but the QB run game was great for them. I would have gone to it maybe some more in some key situations.
Because QB run, you get on the edges, and those inside linebackers, Gay and Bolton did a fabulous job getting downhill, filling, and making tackles.
Oh, they were flying around.
So the opportunity for Hurts to get a lead block and get on the edge and bounce it is where they're dangerous.
Yeah, and you get an extra gap in the run game, but, they were huge in short yardage. I mean, he's unstoppable in short yardage. I remember the play where Chris Jones jumped in the air and he's on his back. That's a bad feeling to be the guy on his back because the mass of humanity is pushing the pile forward, and you're just going for a fucking ride. You're on SEPTA. And then, which, by the way...
You're thinking of Fedra.
No, SEPTA.
Fedra.
I'm through
Last
3
of
episodes.
Us.
You're through it.
They don't
have a bus system,
That
though.
third episode's dynamite. I can't bring myself to care about any of the others.
Loosely based on Matt and I.
The last one's not great. The last episode's not great.
I haven't seen
I
it.
liked it.
Might watch it.
The depth of character quality in that show is not great.
I think my imagination must stink because I just could not care any less about these characters outside of Bill and Frank.
The head of Fedra, the lady.
Oh, hey,
Yeah,
player.
not great.
I haven't met the head of Fedra.
There was a lot of backlash
Okay.
about any criticism of her this week. Did you guys see that?
Really? Okay, well, she wasn't great.
Bill Parcells, Joe Gibbs.
Okay.
More names for you.
So Hurts was great. I mean, you said that 2-pointer, he willed them into the end zone. Like that was his entire season was encapsulated in that 2-point play. Everybody, student body right or student body left for Kansas City was student body right. Like they knew it was coming, and they still couldn't keep him out of the end zone. He should be very proud of himself. He made big throws all night. Throws to Goddard were next level. He would have been the MVP had they not lost that game. But the big deal for the Eagles was, and you thought that they'd probably do a good job neutralizing the group, but Chris Jones, man, like there was a play. Now, the whole group did a good job. So it was a team effort. Kelsey and slide is like a death sentence, right? Because he's so good. You get big, huge guards, and then you get this little bridge troll pressing on your head. Yeah. But when he did have opportunities to rush Landon Dickerson, I want to say this.
Yeah.
That fucking guy is a brick wall. There was a 3rd and 14 in the first half where, the Eagles didn't get it, but I stood out of my chair because the anchor was so sudden and so final. It was like, nope, this is where we're going to stop right here. And then there was a play later where Jones is rushing him, and at the end of the play, Dickerson actually has him lifted off the ground like a couple inches.
Mm-hmm.
One of the strongest individuals.
Freak.
He did a great job. Isaac did a good job. Chris looked tired at times. I think on that 4th and 5, which was a huge play, would have been a huge play in deciding the outcome of the game. Of course, the Eagles go. He's trying to make a play, running up the field, and opens up a huge lane for Jalen to run for that first down. That's the product of frustration. It's just like, fuck it, I need to make a play. And in that
when
situation,
you're tired, you can't stop and start.
Maybe balancing
Can't change
up.
direction.
Yeah.
Well, they say technique goes out the window when you're tired.
Yeah, it does. And on that huge shot to Smith, which Snead blew the coverage, he looked in the backfield on play action. Chris Jones wasn't on the field. We talked about that with the Bengals. Like, they didn't take enough shots with Chris Jones off the field. So I thought the Eagles get an A for dealing with that defensive line. And
the play calling all day was awesome.
Yes.
Like 18 play drives.
Yes.
Bleeding out your opponent, like siege warfare, surround the castle and take all their food. And that's what they did in the first half.
Yep.
And Andy Reid was like, we are leaving the castle walls and we're bringing our spears outside for the second half.
And you got to worry about the moat. But, like.
They killed the Gators, too.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm just saying.
Tomahawks.
You could hear Jason Kelsey out there popping people, dude.
He
left everything out on the field.
People.
In space, he damn near was decapitating people.
Yes.
Just hats off to Lane Johnson playing through his injury.
It was boring how good he did.
Continue to be excellent. This is a group that, if you look at it, there's going to be some transition. By the way, on the Chiefs side, speaking of transition, the Henne era is over.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations to Chad Henne. What a great career. And to end it like that, guy's going to go play golf the rest of his life.
He's the best. He's going to go coach some football. He's got some kids and some activities to do at home now.
And on the Eagles side, the band's breaking up a little bit. Like, I think about the journey that those guys had, the core group, winning a Super Bowl, seeing all the change, the 2019 season, 2020 season, the playoff loss, the ups and downs, Kelsey, Cox, Graham, that whole group, Lane, they got back on the horse, and that's a long journey. All this time that I've been sitting here doing this podcast, bullshitting, sitting on my ass, they've been grinding, man. And they got all the way back to the biggest stage. And I can remember Rob Ninkovich telling me at the Super Bowl, before the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl is the best feeling in the world, but if you lose, you'd rather go 0-16. At that time, 0-16. And I just can only imagine how they feel. And now looking at it, next year and going forward, you got 10 starters who are up. You're going to lose Steichen, Spikeman. You got to pay C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You got to pay Jalen Hurts.
You got to feed Jordan Davis.
Is Cox coming back? Is Kelsey coming back? You have 2 first-rounders. You got the 10th pick.
Kelsey done?
I feel like he might be.
I think he's done, and he's going to just do the pod.
I feel like he might be.
We're going to have a lot of Jason and Chris on the pods.
We got to get it. But there's just nothing else that he could possibly do in this game. Now, he might say, and this was for me, the fear of missing out, the FOMO of what if they're here in a year? He might come back for one more year just to make sure, because the last thing you want to do is watch your buddies on the couch winning it if you're a year removed.
Well, yeah. Hey. Yeah.
Like Kyle?
like last year when they're like, you want to come back? And I'm like, no, I'm a dad now.
It's okay, Kyle.
I don't feel too bad about it. I'm more happy for them
Yes.
than I am sad for me.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
I don't think you get
But
that.
you can
from
imagine
me, right?
Kelsey. I do get it, but you can imagine Kelsey coming back and being the guy and like.
You're absolutely right.
It's just like
I was a fringe guy.
yeah, but you could have ended up somebody gets hurt, or you could have won a job. You could have
there was a play where Andrew Wiley ran a route in the game, and Lucas Niang came in at right tackle for one play.
That could have been you.
I would have been on the
That
field
could
for
have
one
been you.
play.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just
Crossed
never
my
know.
mind.
You never know what happens, and that's the hardest thing about deciding to retire or not.
And Lucas
retire.
Niang had a great set on that play.
Yeah,
too.
he did. That's good.
He did.
That's good. But
Can't
I
beat
mean,
Niang.
there's a lot to worry about. If you're the Eagles, the window's still open, and Jalen Hurts is magnificent. And I think also you got the feeling with Jalen Hurts that there was still a faction of people that were like, all right, let me see him do it in the playoffs. And you want to see that with any quarterback, and he did it
I
in the playoffs.
wanted to see him in the big game. I said, you know what? He's been great, but I got to see in the big game, and I saw what I needed to see.
He was great.
And I can't wait to watch him play for the
He
next
was great.
15 years.
He was great. So hats off to the Eagles. Amazing year. But just a little bit short.
Sirianni went full no-Sean for the
Yeah.
anthem.
He was crying.
He did.
He
Broshan.
he shaves his soul
Broshan.
patch, full beard, but shaves his soul patch.
He gets rid of it?
Yeah. There's no.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
He likes a smooth lick.
Hey, dance choreography seems very difficult.
There's only so many moves you can pick from.
Apparently
you mean
not.
Rihanna's crew?
Yeah.
I thought it was a great halftime
It was
show.
awesome.
It was a great halftime show.
Awesome. I can't imagine thinking up that stuff
I was scared when she was elevated
with
on
child.
the wires, the child.
Elevated with child, but she was strapped in.
And she wasn't on that. She wasn't on that killer grass. You know.
No.
She
yeah.
had better footing
Safest
than anybody
place
else.
you can be.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Safest place you can be in an NFL stadium if Taloma 31.
There was a moment. There was a moment at the end of the performance where the producer in her ear said, "And we're clear. Like we're done. Your show's done." But the camera stayed on her, and she looked up at the fireworks, and you could see a human moment from Rihanna, where she was taking in. I
Can
just
you
did the
imagine
Super Bowl.
finishing the
I just crushed the Super Bowl
halftime show and being like, that all went well?
Yeah.
She looked up. She smiled.
Yeah. Her approval rating is incredible. I'm sure there was some negative, like
None.
no, there was definitely a faction of Twitter that just didn't like her because it was too sexualized, or it was basically because it was a black woman.
Or it
But
wasn't Luke
you,
Combs.
you know those people with the yeah, exactly.
Where the fuck is Garth Brooks,
Rather
man?
seen Travis Tritt out there.
Yeah, Morgan Wallen would have gone higher. But I don't know, man. I thought it was a great halftime show. She crushed it. It wasn't a bunch. It was a bunch of dancers, but it wasn't like this big.
She
a
looked
couple years
she looked
ago.
beautiful.
Sure, yeah. A couple years ago, it was like 15 rappers, a bunch of pianos.
You're right.
People coming out of nowhere, cameos and shit. It was Rihanna and a bunch of people in Teletubby suits dancing around.
Did you see at halftime, speaking of halftime, that doorway to nowhere that Mahomes took?
No.
There was just a door cut out. There's a hallway, and there's a door in the middle, and Mahomes went through the door, but everybody else is going to the same place.
It was probably the X-ray room or the...
That's called the doctor's office.
Yeah, that's where people actually can't get any work done in the blue tent. That's where you can really spread your stuff out. And
Blue tent, they
scalpel.
just look at it.
I'm not describing it well. Y'all, I'll show it to you.
Okay.
It was interesting.
All right, so at this point, and I think this is a good point to bring in Dr. Fax.
Oh, Dr. Fax.
We're going to talk about America's teams. We're going to talk about our trip, the whole thing. But
We
you
saw
know,
a lot, didn't we, Dr. Fax?
And Fax, you can chime in on this, but like best commercial last night?
I think the Crown Royal ad might take the cake.
It's a good point, Nate. You know, we had the drinks, the Crown drinks last night during the live stream. We had them all week. Crown Royal is the sponsor of this podcast.
Just people after being like, wait, hold the fuck up. Canada invented football. And I could just imagine how many people searched that.
And they did a lot of other great things in Canada. I don't want to go through the whole thing, you know, like
Shania Twain.
Shania Twain.
Yeah.
Neil Young, and that's going to be my
Mounted
layup
police.
line. My layup line is going to
Blue
be
Bombers.
Don't Let It Bring You Down by Neil Young, because that, if you're still listening as an Eagles fan, you know, the sun will rise tomorrow. This team's window is open. Don't let it bring you down. It's only castles burning.
Drake.
Find someone who's turning and you'll come around.
Wow. I think we got it.
Today, let's thank Canada. Thank you for legends of music and heroes of comedy. Thank you for this heartthrob. Thank you, Canada, for peanut butter, a paint roller, and poutine. That's French fries with cheese and gravy. It's good. Thank you for creating the replay,
Milwaukee,
and the battery, the egg carton, the ironing board, the electric wheelchair, Hawaiian pizza, instant potatoes, canola oil, trash bags, and thank you for this. Thank you for giving us hockey, basketball, and thank you
For football. What? No way.
Yeah, look it up. Thank you, Canada. Thank you.
And so what Crown Royal is referring to with the commercial with Dave Grohl is that while in 1869 the Princeton-Rutgers game was played, and that's officially known as the first football game, the game itself was actually much closer to soccer. It was played with a round ball, and they weren't allowed to throw or carry it. In 1874, the Harvard-McGill game is when the rugby influences came through. You had an egg-shaped ball, the try was introduced for the first time, which later evolved to the touchdown. And then in 1875, Harvard played Tufts using the rules from the McGill game. And later, Harvard defeated Yale using the same rules. And in 1876, Walter Camp codified the rules of the sport, creating what the game is today. So take from that what you will. Certainly a lot of Canadian influences in the game of football today. And so with football being talked about, you know, Crown bringing it up, that it was, you know, bringing up the conversation that it could have been started in Canada. We have Canadian NFL players, some great Canadian football players. Nate, you played in the CFL. We're going to go down the line. Favorite Canadian football players, Chris?
Luke Wilson. He was not to be confused with Luke Wilson from the movies. He's a tight end for the Seahawks. I used to enjoy playing against Luke Wilson. He's the homie, so I'll go Luke Wilson.
Nate Collins is my favorite
Oh, technically.
Canadian football player of all time.
Yes.
If I'm going to need to do a birthplace or a citizenship deal, I'm going Chimanga Biakabatuka, who
That's good.
born in Zaire, but family moved
That's
to
interesting.
Montreal when he was 4 years old.
I
So
didn't
he's
know that.
Canadian
I didn't know
before matriculating to the University of Michigan. Great running back.
So my Canadian football player is going to be my old teammate, Israel Adonijah, who is actually a Nigerian Canadian he played at the University of Manitoba, and that's actually where I was in Winnipeg for the CFL. And Israel Adonijah also is a comic book writer. The Protectors is the name of the comic book. Awesome guy, great person, and He's my Canadian player.
Big shout out to Izzy.
And Manitoba is where Crown Royal is produced.
Do you guys have any other commercials before we go to America's teams?
Farmer's Dog was the best.
I don't think I saw it. We're doing trivia.
Kind of sad, just the whole lifespan of a dog and how the dog's always with you. But then Farmer's Dog's telling you, hey, if you feed your dog our food, the dog will live for 2.5 more years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It won't be able to walk.
This commercial could be 10 seconds longer in the recap.
Exactly.
You'll be dragging that dog around, but it's alive. I also like the Howie Long commercial.
Yeah.
He was Snoop Dogg's pilot.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
that's scary.
Shout out to Skechers.
You get a contact high up there, Dad, just trying to drive the plane.
I mean,
Snoop needs a pilot like Dad, though. Somebody who's like really paternal.
do what you got to do.
Somebody
but
who
be
lives a
safe.
clean life.
Be
to
safe.
balance.
Just have your dad be happy that Snoop wasn't the pilot and it was the opposite way
man,
around.
yeah,
because
yeah,
if
yeah.
you ever seen Soul Plane, Snoop as a pilot is not good.
No, he's not a good pilot in Soul Plane. Speaking of plane movies, I'm so glad there's a great opportunity to bring this up. Have you seen the previews for a Gerard Butler film called Plane? It's incredible.
I like the title.
It is such a good movie. I watched it on the plane to Arizona. How about that? And there's a plane crash scene, unbeknownst to me. Captain Brody, whatever the fuck his name is an American hero, dude. Well, he's not American. He's Scottish.
What movie is this, dude?
Plane.
Okay, so essentially,
Is it new?
Okay, Gerard
Yeah.
Butler is a pilot. He's got a daughter in Hawaii. He's got one last flight before Christmas. He's going to get home. You know that whole thing.
Spoilers.
He's got to transport a prisoner on a light flight. It's New Year's flight.
Con
So
Air.
There's, so Luke Cage is the prisoner, and the whole time you're praying that this guy's good because you want him to be good. He's in the back of the plane. He's handcuffed. Plane goes down. It's like a 10, 12-minute plane crash. It was the best plane crash scene I've ever seen, and he's an amazing pilot. Sully's got nothing on this motherfucker, dude. I should have known that Luke Cage was going to end up being a good guy. It's right there on the fucking poster. Him and Gerard Butler holding ARs together in the jungle. I'll tell you nothing else about the show.
I want to see it now.
It's a great movie.
ARs in the jungle, say less.
Gerard Butler, great pilot.
What was it? The flag football, the women's flag football commercial when she's running through all the social media stars. Mr. Beast had a little cameo in that.
My guy.
He's the
Mr.
man.
Beast.
Yeah.
You like Mr. Beast?
Yeah, I love Mr. Beast.
I think he's great.
He's his
The only thing I
Kevin
know about
Federline.
Mr. Beast is fact says he looks like me. I look like him.
Him and his buddies are genius.
Yep, absolutely.
I watch all their videos. My
Yeah.
favorite commercial was the Miles Teller hold music dancing.
Oh, you like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did.
And Miles is my guy, but yeah.
I liked it because at first I was like, "What song is this?" And then I was like, "That's the hold music."
I get an uncomfortable feeling when white people dance. It's almost like
It just looked like Bonnaroo, Chris.
anybody short of Kevin Federline, who, by the way,
Oh my goodness.
we'll talk about that right
Oh
now,
my goodness.
is my friend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Kevin Federline and I are homies.
Shut up.
Kyle, you don't know this?
Oh, you weren't there.
Where
Oh,
was
this
this?
is
Oh,
At
you
Drake?
weren't there. No, at
This is
G
so good.
Easy.
No.
So
I
we went
didn't.
to a G-Eazy concert one night. Why?
Very
I don't know.
tall.
Sure.
G-Eazy.
Great. G-Eazy. Great.
Trash performer.
Sorry, Scott. I know
Trash
Scott likes
performer.
G-Eazy.
Yo.
Because producer Scott has a poster of G-Eazy on the wall.
Oh God.
But so we go to the G-Eazy concert. Did it for Scott. And we get a table. It's outside at the W. It's open air. And there's a table next to us. And we notice walking in that Kevin Federline is taking the table next to us.
Y'all recognize Kevin Federline? No
Somebody
disrespect.
did and then pointed out to
Okay.
me.
Chris kind of looks like Kevin Federline.
Yeah, he does, actually.
So I've heard that before. And the first thing I said is, oh, my twin, maybe I'll get a picture with him. He's a little bit shorter than me, okay? I thought he was taller. He's a tall guy.
Yeah.
He's not tall. He's a normal sized guy.
Average.
But anyways, I'm not like, I think I know about that whole thing. And I think he came out looking pretty good. And I'm kind of like, I got a lot of respect for a guy who's had a batshit crazy tabloid life and would seem normal. And that's what I found when at the end of the night, he walked over and introduced himself to me and said, hey, I'm a big fan.
Shut the
and
fuck
and
up.
I'm Raider Nation.
Shut the fuck up.
So he's a fan, and he's a fan of Dad's.
We got
And
pics.
so me and K-Fed are talking for like 20 minutes. But he was just such a cool, down-to-earth guy. And yeah, I think K-Fed
Raider
is the
Nation.
homie now.
He's got 6 kids.
He's the homie now. Yeah, he was talking about his kids. He's like seems like a great dad.
That's awesome.
He's got a great new wife. She played pro volleyball.
Victoria.
He just wins.
No, he's just winning, man.
He just wins.
And he was exactly what I hoped he'd be, which would be seemingly unaffected by all the craziness that's gone on in his life.
Oh, he looks pretty good, man.
He's a great guy, man. Kevin Federline.
Middle name's Earl.
So I get uncomfortable
Yeah, it is.
when white people dance.
His uncle's
And so
name.
Miles Teller dancing made me a little bit uncomfortable. Did anybody else get a little
I
uncomfortable?
liked it, Miles.
Okay. My favorite one, probably one of the first ones, because, and this was genius by YouTube TV. Who doesn't like the cat playing piano? Who
Gotta
doesn't
love
like that
that.
video of the cat playing piano? Even better, when they put Still Dre over, and they dubbed that thing over the cat playing piano, and he's dun 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 dun. You know, everybody knows the cat playing piano. He's wearing clothes and shit. Is evidently one of the early YouTube videos that really popped. So they play that thing like going into the anthem. So like people are all charged up. Like the vibes were the highest of any point in the game. And they bought that ad space and hit us with the cat playing piano. I thought that was great placement.
Number one, America's teams, the Kansas City Chiefs. Touchdown, Kansas City! Nick Bolton, what a beast. Kansas City Chiefs, what a beast. The training staff, Rick Burkholder.
Nick Bolton got the only shout out.
Rick Burkholder getting Patrick Mahomes to be able to play the way he did. Patrick being so mentally tough, physically tough. The O-line showing up. It was a dominant performance. And a team that never quit, and you saw it in the second half. I think they scored on all their drives in the second half. I mean,
Do the Andy Reid Chiefs thing.
how about those Chiefs? Bring it up here. You know what I mean?
You know what? Like, if this was another team,
Beast.
I'd be incensed this morning, but I do.
Can't
I
be
respect
happier
the
for a
Chiefs.
better group of guys.
Yeah.
Number two, special teams. You think about the game-winning field goal. Harrison Butker doinked one early, but to get up there and hit, essentially a chip shot to win the football game for your team, that's awesome. Kadarius Toney, brought in from New York, gets an opportunity to step up in a huge spot, dances around a bit back there. I'm like, where the fuck are you going, Kadarius? And then he leaks out on the backside, and you see Marcus Kemp, number 85. Run it back here just for a second. I want to talk and pause it. So Marcus Kemp, number 85, who's going to make 3 massive blocks on this punt return.
3.
Yeah, 3 blocks. In the AFC Championship, when they were down guys, Marcus Kemp, who's he's a core 4 special teamer for these guys. He stepped up a receiver, made some big catches. And on this play, when Kadarius Toney reverses field, you can go ahead and play it. Number 85 is going to be behind Toney. Tony's going to touch him, and now he's going to take off. Watch him at the numbers, the 50, the 40. There's one block. You're going to see him get another guy here. Boom. And then he goes box out block on that guy. That's 3 huge blocks. Great effort. Special teams, my number 2 America's teams. Number 3 America's team, the all-female flyover team.
Yeah.
I think that's so badass.
Except they fucked up the over on, on
they
the
did
anthem
something, though.
because I blame the Navy. The Navy had the under.
The all-female flyover team.
Well, if it was Trisha Yearwood, we're going to let her finish her note.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, OVO. Okay, America's team.
Yeah, there are owls everywhere.
Because we went to go see Drake the other night at a private party. Nate was there. We were all there. And it was a who's who, people that we all recognized. It was the coolest party I've ever been to. And Drake was an amazing performer.
It was so cool, I just stood there.
Shout out to the OVO boys. The only reason that concert happened is because one of his homies missed a concert the week before. So he put on a concert for him at the Super Bowl, essentially.
He missed the Apollo.
That's what it
show.
was.
He did the whole Apollo set.
Well, his brother. So Megan Fox is number 5, America's team, because you know what? We saw Megan Fox and we saw Machine Gun Kelly at the party, and it was like, as a guy in America seeing Megan Fox, it's like pretty cool to see her in person. Beautiful gal. MGK, way taller than I thought in person. And we also thought, Matt and I were standing out there, and we saw them walk out, and we said, like, hey, they look like they're beefing a little bit. The next day, you see
transfer portal.
Megan Fox, transfer portal, unfollowed everybody. She only follows 3 people on social media now: Timothy Chalamet, who's the
Harry
other one?
Styles.
Eminem, and Harry Styles.
On the way out. Oh wow, that's crazy.
All of his ops only follow. You unfollow everybody
Except for
and
the
then
ops.
You follow back the 3 people probably that MGK in the comfort
Hell
of his
hath no
home has
fury.
told her, if these are the 3 last people on earth,
Yeah.
like
You did it.
like
Megan
these are
Fox,
the last
savage.
3.
Yeah, Coach Saban, I'm taking my talents to Kyle Field. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go play for your best. You know, they're guys. She's leaving the party. Guys are offering her like car dealership stuff, and yeah, I like this transfer portal metaphor for Megan Fox.
Timothy Chalamet.
She's gonna have a lot of suitors.
Surprised Pete Davidson's not on the list.
No, she's above that.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, I used to think.
Okay.
All right, Makes, what you got?
The Duke University Blue Devils.
Ooh, boo.
Welcome to the middle of the ACC where you don't get every call.
You just
like you
wanted
did
to-
when Ratface was there, you know?
You just wanted to talk about them.
Oh, they're just so mediocre, which is so very American, respectfully. And they took an L in Charlottesville.
What do you think about that call?
Well, here's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So the lottery pick who scored 0 points goes to the rack, and he gets blocked by Reese Beekman and Ryan Dunn. Now
Ryan Dunn, beast.
they said there was a tenth of a second left. The game was tied. Duke would go to the free throw line to shoot 2 to win it. And they said, we're going to look at the clock because 1/10 of a second. And when they got to the monitor, they clearly saw that it was not a foul. And so they
And
said,
then they fudged it.
okay, well, we do have an out here. We can send both
Yeah.
these teams to overtime
Yeah.
for another 5 minutes. Virginia won by 7.
That was explicitly what happened.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
'Cause there was
so much so that
clearly
the
a tenth of
ACC
a-
said sorry afterwards that they shouldn't have exactly
Yeah.
done that. So they blew the call, they had an out, and they took it. But Duke, man, hey, this is going to be fun. Your little reign of getting every break in addition to all the 5 stars is over. It's decidedly over. I'll go Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl 57 champs. It was an enjoyable game. Most of the guys on that team are enjoyable themselves, except for that tight end whose shtick is now a bit old. If you're asking me, we love the Kelseys, love the family. What a family!
You were talking about the wrestling promos?
I'm done with the whole underdog bullshit. You won a million
They are
games.
underdogs.
They
You're
weren't underdogs.
You're the 1 seed.
They were underdogs.
No, they
You're
weren't.
building a
believe
dynasty.
They were underdogs in that game by 1.5
In that
points.
game.
No, I know. That's true. That's true. He should have said, we were
I'm amazed.
Vegas underdogs in this game.
I'm amazed there weren't more dog masks.
That would have been good post
Yeah,
to break
ironically,
out.
That would have
yeah.
been a good touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, except people,
Third one, waste management. Y'all tell me. I just get a kick out of the waste management
was
Phoenix
cool.
Open.
That was
They
cool.
Oh, it was fun.
Amazing.
they got a cool logo, you know,
Yeah.
and it just seems like you're gonna have a good time when something's brought to you by waste
I
management.
always thought it was the William and Mary logo.
right, right.
Yeah.
And waste
Like, William and
management.
Mary has a new logo.
Are they even
Those
picking up
William
any
and Mary
trash,
parties are a good time. Those William and Mary golf matches.
or is it a front for a mafia operation?
No, I think it's legitimate. Maybe in the dog days.
There's
Waste
so much
Management,
money
they had
involved
to
at that place. Oh.
strangle a few paisans.
They
in
said
the
there was
backseat
8
of a-
million beers drank
I
at
believe
that
it.
place.
How many porta potties were there?
a
Believe it.
billion,
Not
a
enough.
bajillion. I don't know. You're the one who sampled them.
Over
There were a billion, but not enough.
So it was awesome. Rosillo hooked us up. Thank you, Rosillo, for having me out there. Talentless hack, but he has good connections
Oh,
at the
my
PGA. And we got in there. It was one of his LSU Bama connections. So we get in there. It's awesome. Like I'd never, like you hear about it and it exceeds your expectations. The food was great. Maybe not the Masters quality lore
I've never
of food, but got to see Van Pelt. Ran into a couple guys. Ran into Jalen Phillips. Ran into Kenny Pickett. Who else did we see?
Bob Menery.
Bob Menery.
Bob Menery.
Yeah, Bob Menery.
Funny guy.
Tell him what I
And then
said
the
to
Friday beers kid.
I said to Bob Menery.
Oh,
Bob Menery
Chris.
wanted to hit my joint. I said,
He passed it to him, and then Chris immediately regretted it. And when
well, no,
Bob
before I passed him,
took
I
it,
asked him, I was like, is there anything I need to worry about?
And Bob was
He
a
was
little
very
offended.
offended.
It was like, why would you say that?
We saw the
grass.
streaker, too, to stick on your America's team.
We did.
Your last one, we saw the streaker with our own eyes.
Oh wow,
And
all the bits.
they're slow, these people at the Waste Management. they don't have the fast guys.
And he's a little cross-country-ish, that guy.
Yeah, and he jumped in the pond and the whole thing. Go ahead, sorry.
Wow.
Team stage.
The Pokes, Oklahoma State. That's where they created the grass that we just played the Super Bowl
Really?
upon. Yeah.
Really?
Temecula 69.
Yep, you got it. And finally, the Pittsburgh Steelers are plus 5,500 to win the Super Bowl next year. You just mentioned Kenny Pickett.
Hop on that.
That's a nice little club. Plus 5,500 is like 20th of the
Really
32
cool
teams.
guy, by the way. Kenny
was really
Pickett.
cool.
Couldn't have been cooler.
He was really cool.
Yeah.
So was Jalen. Jalen was awesome. I saw him again at the Drake party. We'll get Jalen on sometime.
Did you shake Kenny Pickett's hand?
Oh, yeah, I did.
I didn't even think anything
How
about it.
small?
A faceless opponent, man. I'm just, whenever I shake hands, I try to put my middle finger halfway up their forearm to assert dominance.
What about seeing
Right.
You know?
Just try not to hurt anybody.
We seen Jaleel White too.
Oh, we did see Jaleel White, a.k.a. Urkel.
Yeah.
He was there.
He was cool. We didn't talk to him, but he seemed
Who
cool.
else? You got any more America's team?
Nah, that's it, dog.
Okay, America's teams, the baby's bodyguards. All right, if you're thinking about engaging in some beef with
That was the baby's bodyguard.
the baby,
Okay.
maybe send him some anthrax. And while you're at it, make sure you send the guy that I saw in a Tony Parker jersey.
Yeah.
It must have been a 6X, and he made it. Kyle, this was one of the biggest human beings
I was with you.
I have ever fucking seen. I would just go into the fetal position, just like if I ran into a bear. I mean, like
Andrew
I just hope
Whitworth,
for the
you,
best.
me, Nate, we all moved 6 feet back when we saw this guy walk through the section.
Had to be 6'8", 400 pounds,
Solid.
Maybe
Of
6'10".
Solid.
and the baby is like him, and then he just gets rid of him.
Yeah.
I mean, like
He looked like he has a body of like the world's strongest man competitors.
Yo, he's built like,
Like-
Trent Williams, but
Yeah.
7
like,
feet.
Yes.
like filled
he's
out.
like Magnus Magnuson from the block.
yeah.
I mean, he was unbelievable. I mean, the
In
guy
a
was
Tony Parker jersey.
was crazy. Why Tony Parker? I don't know,
Incredible.
but
Big
baby's
Brent Berry
bodyguards.
fan. Big
Yeah,
Brent,
he is.
Big Brent Berry fan.
Good callback. I'll give you the aliens. They're coming.
Yeah.
Good time. These things are showing up. They showed up in Alaska. They showed up over Lake Michigan. Nothing's sacred. They're coming.
They're everywhere.
And I really do think when they come, they're just going to be like, we just want to tell you guys you're fucking idiots. Like, we've been flying around this rock for a long time.
I just want to shake your hand.
No, I just want to shake your hand.
Just want to penetrate your defense system and shake your hand.
Honestly, I feel like they're just using us for entertainment. If they've come this far, they don't need us. They don't need our technologies. They don't need our social media. They don't need any of it. So the aliens, one of America's teams, the waitresses of Phoenix, Arizona. It is cold in that place. You know, you see on TV the cacti, the big sun. You know, it's so hot they name one of their fucking teams the Suns. But what they don't tell you is when the moons come out, it's like 40 degrees. And the waitresses there are all mandated to dress like it's Miami. I mean, shout out to them. They're out there like Randall Cobb at fucking Lambeau, and it's 10 degrees, and he's not wearing sleeves. That's kind of what I like in.
Heroic.
Seriously. The W, the club there,
Real.
it's
You notice that
32 degrees. I'm huddled around the heat lamp.
real hoes don't get cold, bro.
Yeah, you did say that over the weekend. But that is that like an adage?
Like, yeah, it's
People say that?
yeah.
It's like real football players don't get
But
cold.
you're not gonna let the cold affect your outfit and your appearance, man.
Well, these ladies were working, and I just want to tip my cap to them. Okay, also America's team, the people who prepare Mexican food, that was like 75% of my food pyramid in Arizona. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. From the bottom of my heart, I actually miss it. I think I'm going through withdrawals here in Charlottesville. I almost fucking ordered Chipotle last
I prepare
night.
Mexican food.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put a little taco seasoning on the black beans. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little shredded cheese.
I'd like to measure your Mexican food up to like really authentic Mexican food in Phoenix. Can I come down to your
Please.
house?
Yeah.
And get a tub.
We'll take a tub.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the last one for me, it reads "The makers of the movie Plane." It's just a great movie.
Luke Cage.
So our week was great. We got in on Tuesday night. We hit the dispensary, the dispo, and then we went back to our Airbnb, which was in Mexico. It was very far south.
Yes.
It was nice and quiet. There were coyotes everywhere. There was an active runway on the side of our Airbnb, Cessnas and shit.
Actually, an active runway.
I'm interviewing Brian Dawkins on Wednesday. He's talking to me about his book, his life story. It's getting deep, and you get and then they're just warming this thing up, and they keep going, and then the thing goes down the runway and the whole thing. So we were next to an active runway. There were coyotes. The first night, we all went back, just got really stoned by the pool. That was maybe my favorite night. I loved that. The first night in, you actually take advantage of it by not going out and getting drunk. Everybody got some sleep. The second night, we went to the W, I think it was.
Easy.
No, that was the third night.
Was it?
The second night,
Calais got you in.
we went to the W in
With
Calais.
Oh,
We couldn't get in Jay Glazer's party
You
with the
left
big
us.
group. I didn't leave you.
He tried to get us in.
I
He
tried
did
my
everything
best
he
to
could.
get you in. Also, you
broke the bro
I don't want to
code.
get into this. The bro code. I broke the bro code.
You didn't. But then we met back up at that other
Flew
place.
you guys back on a private plane, got you into every party, didn't pay for a thing. I don't think you reached for your wallet the whole week, Nate, but I broke the bro code. I even came to the bar 30 minutes later. We just went up to sample that party. They could only get a couple of us in. So
But that bar was cool because that was the first time we met up with the Bussin' Boys that weekend, that
yes,
trip.
we went to Riot House. We saw Will. We
That was
saw
my first time meeting Will this
my
weekend.
guy Jack. You hadn't met Will
and it
yet.
was awesome to
He's a
meet
great
him.
guy. His eyes are barely open, and he's not high. He's just always squinting, and I don't know what the fuck to think.
I said something stupid to Will Compton that wasn't funny, and Shane Gillis was like, "Ha, good joke, dude."
Did he really? You got good joke, dude? By a
No,
comedian?
like he made fun of me.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I was like, "Ha."
Oh fuck, Kyle. Yeah, we met Shane Gillis.
I was like, "We're wrestling."
Hung out with Shane Gillis. It was awesome. We had the W 2 nights in a row.
I was hammered.
Nate
Nathan.
ate a fish fillet. He ordered a fish fillet to our house, which was like 30 minutes away from McDonald's. He's eating fish fillet in the desert.
It was the best choice, yo. Cold burgers and cold fries, which you guys barely even ate.
I ate.
It looked terrible. It was terrible.
So what I'm going to do is, this is my idea. We send Nate to all 50 states to eat a fish fillet in like a week. So he just goes from state to state.
Yep.
One day New Hampshire, the next day Vermont. Sample all the fish fillets around the world, around the country.
I think that's smart.
I think that's good content.
Go to the
He's
highest
already
rated
agreed.
McDonald's in every state and judge their fish
That
fillets.
could be tough.
Yeah, not
and also
highest
what's also going to be tough is the prospect of eating 50 fish fillets in a week. You've agreed to terms with this?
Yeah, we have to figure stuff out, but
Okay.
it could be possible.
I met Matt Ryan's high school running back. He was a Duke lacrosse player, and he claims that Matt Ryan was a system quarterback in high school. I just wanted to say that.
Wow.
Yo, Matt Ryan's high
He
school
had
running
800
back.
yards. He said Matt
He
had
was so
800 yards
cool.
passing. His running back was the coolest guy ever.
So he was a Duke lacrosse player
Yeah.
when Howie was getting recruited,
Yes.
and essentially, like, he worked with Howie after a camp, and he remembered all this. And then we ran into Howie, and Howie saw him. It was cool to see that. You
what
know,
day
some
was this? This was
lax love.
Friday?
Friday.
Yeah, this was Friday.
It was
I
a
mean,
total lax love, like ACC lax.
anyways, Matt
At the
Ryan
waste
was a
management.
system quarterback in high school. We found that out. I also want to shout out the dogs of the Puppy Bowl. I don't know if anybody watched the Puppy Bowl,
My daughter did.
but that kept the kids. They stood for the anthem. Well, they didn't really stand.
Yikes.
Yeah,
They
but
definitely
they sat
weren't
still for the
quiet.
anthem. They had a picture of an American flag. The referee, who's dressed like a Foot Locker guy, is standing there with his hands behind his hips, watching the monitor of the flag. The dogs are they're actually like,
Nick Sirianni's bawling.
yeah, Nick Sirianni's crying.
Uh-huh.
One of the Malamute is tearing up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
What about the robot dogs Jason Derulo used as backup dancers?
that's how it begins. That's how it begins. Last thing we got to talk about here real quick is Derek Carr not being released. And
Bring me my money.
yeah, bring me my money. Thinks he can get more in the open market. Can fuck the Raiders this way. They can't get anything for him.
Good.
Well played.
Good. Derek, you totally redeemed yourself, buddy. Between the Pro Bowl interviews, the way you lit up the skills,
Yes.
the competition, and this decision here, Ball's in your court, dude. Go get it.
So do we give any mentions out? Do we have mentions?
Hell yeah, we have mentions.
Okay.
Which one do you want to start? Which one do you want me to start with?
You start wherever you want. I'm going to be real.
I'm going to
hit and
give a
miss
game
on
ball.
this one.
I'm going to give a game ball. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is the MVP, but if I'm going to give a game ball in the locker room, it'll be 5 game balls to the offensive line for the
I knew
Chiefs.
you do it.
And I mean it. This is a group that was all brand new together last year. This is a group that lost in the AFC Championship in a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
They get an opportunity. They go back. Their quarterback gets hurt in the AFC, and they have to go win the AFC Championship hobbled. And then they protect against the most physical unit in the NFL last night.
You know what? I'm on board with this because
And they run the ball when they had to.
both offensive lines made this game what it was.
It was fun.
You know, it was just
fun.
His quarterbacks were clean. The passing game was fun. The run game was fun to look at. Yeah, I can get with you on that.
You guys go. Should I go all of them, or are you guys going?
You gave game ball there. I'll give. I don't get too. You gave it to the offensive line as Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll shout out Pacheco, and maybe
Great.
Yeah.
maybe you don't need to invest in running back. We had Pacheco, we had Jet McKinnon, we had Kenny Gainwell. Maybe it's not the most important piece because you
Boston
can find guys.
Scott,
You
yeah.
can Boston Scott. You can find guys in
Boston
the
Scott is
seventh
a human
round.
joystick out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But Pacheco wearing 10 that Tyreek Hill wore that was going to torpedo the Chiefs because they didn't have that weapon anymore. He runs hard. He's a physical runner.
Tyreek
Yeah.
was pissed watching on Twitter. He
Yeah.
was pissed on
There
Twitter.
you go.
last
There's a
night.
viewing party.
I'll go worst plane ride. I'll go me because I couldn't get any breakfast on the way home because
Oh my God.
you jackwagons were cleaning the kitchen in the morning and took my brand new fucking DoorDash order that had a beautiful smoothie. And you guys said smoothie. It wasn't just a smoothie. I had a peanut butter acai bowl
Oh,
that got tossed
tossed.
in the process of cleaning out the fridge.
A full smoothie?
Full smoothie,
Apparently.
full acai bowl.
Wow.
Here's the kicker. I walk out. We're all working on 3 hours sleep. We're trying to get on the plane. And I said, "Hey, has anybody seen my acai bowl?" Okay. Has anybody seen my smoothie? And it's just like they're in the mafia. Like no one's talking about it. Everybody's just like, I don't know, haven't seen it. We cleaned out the kitchen, so I don't know. I said, well, who cleaned out the fridge? You know, I just want some closure. Just
Yeah.
tell me where the bowl is.
Right.
Is it in the trash?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
It's just quiet. It's quiet on the fucking car ride. You know, all I ask for, guys, is a little communication. You know, just a little like, hey, hand up. That's fine. I'll order something new, even though the airport was in a place where nothing delivered. We had to stop at a gas station. Worst plane ride. Me.
You'd like to fly the remains back with you to Virginia.
No, I want to
If you
eat.
could've.
Yeah. I would have taken the.
That's your closure.
I would have exhumed
the
the.
trash bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would have held it the whole plane ride.
My worst plane ride, the Philadelphia Eagles
Yeah.
lose the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's bad.
Up by 10 at halftime. Got to pay a lot of dudes or not pay a lot of dudes and not be as good.
Can't even imagine.
Tough ride.
Worst flight for me is all those UFOs that are getting shot down.
Yeah. Little green men like.
And if I'm going to go, I'll start the next one off with the best flight.
Please.
Best flight is the pilots who got to go actually see combat and shoot this shit down.
Yeah.
Imagine being a guy that's always on training missions. And if you're in the military, you probably have questions about UFOs and you hear stories and people ask people all the time, what do you know? What do you know? These people know some stuff that us four don't know.
Yeah.
I can't wait till more of it comes out.
You remember that Chinese
flight.
spy balloon?
Best flight.
I poked a hole in it.
No. There were some things that were not spy balloons.
I know, Kyle.
Also, a lot
I'm on the
of
internet.
very curious lasers going off over Hawaii from Chinese satellites. Maybe they're trying to scan to see where our defense systems are. Interesting.
Yeah.
Best plane ride, Clark Hunt. This cat has a nice hairline and he's got nice full lips. You seen this guy's lips?
He's a handsome man.
Nah, yeah, like top and bottom lips.
Classic.
Yeah, nice lips. And anyway, he's probably riding back on his lonesome. You know, he didn't have to wait for the club.
Yeah.
He's doing whatever he wants to do.
Not
Clark
that
Hunt.
far of a trip either.
Right.
Half the trip.
Yeah.
He's going to Texas.
Okay. We got best and worst plane ride.
Best plane ride, Cowboy Reed and Matt Kingston, because of weight distribution. On the way back on the private, got the two best seats and were able to stretch out and
Yeah.
sleep comfortably
Yeah.
the entire
They slept
flight
like
home.
babies.
I didn't
You know?
sleep. I watched slow horses making
They
dragon.
slept like babies.
Nice.
That acai bowl just dripping in the garbage can, and they know who put it there, and they just
I
slept.
felt really self-conscious putting my legs out.
Who cleaned the fridge, guys? Who cleaned the fridge?
This
I
is
swear
so
it wasn't
funny.
me.
This
Who do
is
you
so
think?
Funny. Yo, the best
Cowboy
part
Reed.
about
Yeah.
it,
I had nothing to do with it.
yes.
I put everything in the.
I'm not gonna lie.
Just eat a fucking
not-
fish fillet.
I'm
dude.
not gonna lie, guys.
It's the principality.
I think it was Scott because of the botched attempt to go back
So you-
into the garbage
Yeah.
and take things out. I think
Nate, yeah.
That makes
Scout
sense.
walked up to the driveway to be like, "I'll check the garbage," which at least was
Boom, done.
yeah.
Mystery solved.
Nate,
And he's the only one
got
on the
an
room right
alibi.
now.
Nate wasn't helping at all. Nate was like, "I wasn't helping at all."
Corporate Scott has entered the chat.
Give him the mic.
Okay. We were gonna miss that plane.
There's been
And we had
DNA
to get the
results
hell out of there.
20 years later.
I was doing whatever.
There
it
is no
takes
missing
to
plane.
leave. To
Oh,
leave that plane.
we got
So
an
what,
admission.
Scott?
An admission.
No.
Oh
I
my
never
God.
touched any of that stuff. I think I know who it is,
Yes.
but I'm not going to dox anybody.
Yes.
No. Someone's got to admit. Someone's got to admit it.
This is good TV.
Yo,
Who was it?
yes.
Oh, he had a feeling.
it was
Now he
you?
doesn't have a feeling. I had a feeling
This is a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
that read throughout Chris's acai bowl.
You know what? I'm gonna laugh.
Acai Bowl gate.
I'm gonna laugh when the Airbnb person comes back and the
said there's an acai
acai
bowl.
smoothie is found in Chris's
In my room.
Yeah, just sitting in the room.
No,
With his wallet.
I stuck it. No, I have my wallet.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Where
I
was
thought
it?
It was in my Dob kit. I put it in a really genius place, but I was too high.
Wow. I really thought you lost your wallet.
No, so did I. It was a nice surprise.
Yeah, that's good news.
Yeah, it's good
Great
news.
news.
Now, the wallet's non-perishable, unlike the acai bowl. So,
You lost your wallet 2 weeks ago.
yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Not enough pockets. I got a lot of things.
Fanny
man.
pack. Fanny pack.
I need a fanny pack. So one big thing on the trip was that everybody thought he was LeGarrette Blunt.
Like 25 to 30 people.
Yo, legit. One night at the club, we're both standing there, and I'm noticing that people are coming up and getting pictures from Nate. And I'm like, I pray these are Eagles fans. It's going to be so funny because I'm standing there, they're not saying anything to me. They're coming up to Nate, and they're like, LG, huge fan.
Did you correct them? Did you sign LG for anybody?
No, I didn't sign anything. I think that signing anything would be a little overboard, but letting fans assume I'm someone else when they don't want to, when they were really excited, I took a few pictures.
Yeah, he
But
took a
the
few
funny
pictures.
thing was when I got drunk the next night and I kind of was over it, I seen a group of kids that I seen the night before, and this dude was like, "Yo, LG, you're LG," and I was like, "No, I'm not." And he was like, "No, you are. I took a picture with you yesterday. You're LeGarrette Blunt." And so at that point,
was
I'm just
LeGarrette
like,
Blunt.
"Okay, cool. Let's
The
take
best,
a picture."
The best was at the Waste Management, the guy with the
caddy.
Go Birds, the caddy.
We saw this caddy that I posted on my, and we saw him from down the balcony, and he was walking away and had Go Birds on the back of his thing. And my dumbass thought it was like a real caddy. Obviously, just a guy who was drunk and got it made. And I was like, Go Birds or something like that. We got his attention. And then he looked up. He was like, from a long way away, hawked me. He was like, Chris Long, the whole thing. So then he runs up 10 minutes later.
No, but when he says that, he says no. And he goes, "I see you, LeGarrette, hiding back there."
And then he comes up and we're like, it's just another instance of people thinking Nate's LG. The guy makes the trip all the way up, gets a picture with me, then goes over there and is talking LeGarrette's ear off.
I have to check out some of these posts and some of these hashtags because he definitely took a small video, LeGarrette Blunt.
No question. We got footage of it.
Oh man, that's
We
so
got
funny.
footage of it. And then the kicker was my man John Clark, picture of myself and Bo Allen. Now, is Nate in the picture?
I'm not in this
Nate's not
picture.
in the picture, but he's out of frame of this image.
Yeah, Nate was there at the hotel too. This was Wednesday. John Clark tweeted, Eagles 2017 Super Bowl champs Chris Long, Bo Allen, LeGarrette Blount are here at the Eagles team hotel catching up with Nick Sirianni and some of the birds. That's me and Nick Sirianni. And as you see, Dom's in the background, my paisan. And then Nate's somewhere off camera. And evidently John Clark thought it was LeGarrette. And I thought LeGarrette must have been there too that day. Texted LG. He was at the team hotel, but not until Thursday. So I think everybody's falling for this LG thing. We should do a pod where you're LeGarrette.
Mm-hmm.
And we just put the pod out and you just make a lot of news. Like, we don't even say that it's you. We just put you in some Patriots gear. And I'm like, LG, what do you think about Tom Brady? I think he's a dirty cheater.
Someone will definitely run with it.
Oh, my God.
A lot of people will run
We
with
don't
it.
even
How
have
tall
to
are
caption
you?
it.
6'2".
About LeGarrette's
LG
height.
6 foot. Let's
Yeah.
say 6 foot.
It's just so he doesn't look anything like LG. You know? So, anyways, LeGarrette Blount had a hell of a week.
Yeah, it was a good weekend.
Yeah.
But no, the funniest is just like, so if you're a fan, you realize this later, like, are you a bad fan or are you just like a delusional fan? Like, how much of a fan are you if you think you're taking a picture with like?
You're not a huge fan. It was like the one time I came up to, I think it was Hannibal Buress, and I thought he was somebody else. And I felt like a huge dumbass. I was like, I loved your bit on whatever it was. And truth is, I wasn't a huge fan. I just was saying what's up at the drink line. Clearly, right? Exactly. Like, you can't like somebody that much if you don't know what the fuck they look like.
Some dude told me, what did he say to me? He was like, we love you in Boston. God bless. What did the guy say? He's the guy.
It's unbelievable.
And I don't know if we told Macon, but Chris got a couple Nick Bosas.
Yeah.
Nick Bosa's.
Yeah,
Nice.
San Francisco fans.
Yeah. Oh, a dude actually started a conversation with Chris to explain to him that he had an uncle that went to high school with your uncle.
He goes, your uncle and my uncle went to high school here in this area. I was like, that's interesting. I didn't know I had an uncle in Phoenix. And he's like, no, your whole family. I'm like, well, this is getting weird. What are you talking about? And he's like, your brother, Joey. And I was like, man, I hate to break this to you. I'm 37 years old, 250 pounds. I look a lot different than Nick Bosa. You know, the tattoos should probably give it away. But yeah, Niners fans evidently don't watch the games. Neither do.
It's because we were. I chalk it up to we wear helmets. We wear helmets. A lot of
Tattoos,
guys. It's hard, but like you don't really pay attention. I believe it or not, I've gotten people ask me if I was Mike Tyson before, and Mike Tyson has a tattoo on his face.
Bro, yeah.
So like,
I will see. I saw a bunch of guys this weekend that I'm like, I recognize that guy, but I'm not sure who he is, and they're like really good players.
Yep.
We mess each other's faces up, but it's the action of being like, I'm a huge enough fan to come up and get a picture with you and not know what the guy looks like.
But even if those people, like, even if they're huge Eagles fans, it was more mind-blowing to me. Even if you wanted a picture with LeGarrette Blount, it's just like, you're a huge Eagles fan. You were on the Super Bowl team with him.
Yeah, well,
it's just like, Chris is right there. It was. I could see if they were like, yo, let me get a picture of LeGarrette, and then they're like, yo, Chris, let me get one too. But it wasn't like that. It's just like, you guys are delusional.
It's interesting.
Follow man?
Sure.
Yeah, dog.
I'm going to give it to me. I had a ticket to the Super Bowl, and I gave it to Mike Sales. Came home early. Also, could have potentially had a spot on that roster. That
we were
sucks.
definitely not going to get you on the show, though, if you'd flown back
man.
Red Eye Sunday night.
No.
Admit it.
No.
And, yeah, that would have been a point of consternation here.
But we're here.
Okay, we're here.
So I get the Hollow Man there, but I get the Solid Man here.
Yeah, solid man.
Great.
Solid man in this building.
Perfect.
Hollow man.
Hollow Man. Dr. Wu, inventor of the grass.
Yeah, for sure. It's Taloma.
Pantone
31.
49.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean, that grass will never, like that grass, there's a stigma around it now.
Yeah.
So,
Grassist.
I guess I give it to James Bradberry. I mean, even though he admitted, you know, the hold and, you know, there was the motion issue and the whole thing, like, it was a very clean game. There weren't a lot of big mistakes. You know, even the guy that made the biggest mistake for the Eagles redeemed himself. He's the whole reason they're in the game. Okay, I'll give you an STL memorial. Somebody who balled in obscurity. Punt returner for the Chiefs, who had a really heads-up play in the first half. That punt contacted one of his teammates, as the gunner was pushing him towards the place where the kick was caught, and to field that punt and to field it so quickly and to see it redirect slightly. I think I remember the play. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember this.
I do.
But that could have easily been a turnover that could have changed the entire complexion. I always fuck that up, of the game. A lot of people mess that up.
Not as much as contingent and contingency, or benefactor and beneficiary.
Oh, not me.
Not you. Couldn't be you.
Bevel Conway.
Oh, I'll jump. The Chiefs end zone. That yellow popped. The red on top of the yellow, which generally I don't love. I just love a yellow end zone.
The logoed hats. We were commenting on them at the media day, which, by the way, we got to go to the media. We got to go to the media pool in the Eagles hotel, and me and Bo got to go interview cats. It's really hard to be in the media pool. It's a lot of people. You got to wait. Then you got to remember your fucking.
You get nervous.
Your question.
And not repeat their question.
And it's a different thing for me to walk up to a player who might not know who I am and ask a question. Like that safety of them knowing who you are, like on Zoom or in an interview. They don't know. It's just a voice or just some white guy that looks tall.
Just Kevin Federline.
Yeah. What's K-Fed doing
out
here?
there?
I got to interview Fletch. Fletch was funny because I went up to Fletch. And I was finding my way. And when he saw me, he couldn't stop laughing and couldn't answer any of the other questions. And then I couldn't stop laughing. It was like a real fun moment.
Yeah.
We were right back in the locker room. Got to see Robert Quinn. That was fucking awesome. Got to see a bunch of guys. Sat down at Landon Dickerson's table to ask him a question. And I think he knew it was me because he fucked with me. I was like, hey, Landon. He's like, I'm Jack Driscoll. And there was this moment of panic where I go, oh, well, in that case, Jack Driscoll, what was it like filling in for Lane Johnson this year? I was like, God damn, Jack Driscoll's big. I'm like checking my notes. He's like, I'm Landon. So I got to meet some guys that I hadn't met. I got to see some old friends, the whole thing. That was fun. Where are we? We are...
That was a Bevel Conway. Anybody got a fly on the wall or a viewing party?
Bevel Conway. Here's an anti-Bevel Conway. The fucking Chiefs white jumpsuits. Good luck wearing those ever again. Even though you won the Super Bowl, those things are hideous. I guarantee you nobody's wearing those in public.
Bevel Conway, Cash App party setup in an airplane hangar.
It was beautiful.
It was amazing. The stage that they had for Drake was amazing. Just the setup and then the overhang of everyone looking over the stage. Yes. But more importantly, Taco Bell in the club and having people serving free Taco Bell the entire night. Hard tacos, soft tacos, burritos. It's something that I've never been a part of like that. So
safe to say you're not alone.
It was top notch.
It was like a wedding. Like a really great wedding that Drake was performing at for the richest man in the world.
It was. We were in Dubai.
We were in
for
Dubai.
A night.
Yeah.
Were you nervous when you met Serena?
Oh, I met Serena.
I didn't.
Yeah.
You fucking dickhead.
Well, dude, it's not something where I'm like, hey, Serena, let me just wait here.
I'm going to go get my brother.
Yeah. Somebody introduced me to Serena.
Who's hugging Andrew Whitworth.
Yeah. Somebody introduced me to Serena. I was real quick. I was just huge fan. And I know your husband's a Wahoo, so tell him we said what's up.
Ah.
So she was cool, and it was quick. But that was probably one of the most famous people I've ever met.
She was so impressive.
Yeah, she
walked by me. I was like, "That's the best athlete potentially ever."
The GOAT.
Yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, but I'm like, I met Kevin Federline,
Chandler Parsons,
CC Sabathia.
Me and CC hung out.
You met the big Nordic
me and CC Sabathia discussed a home and home on the podcast. So I talked to Scott immediately after. I was like, we got to get that set up. We got his information.
Have we figured out who the 8-foot basketball player was?
No, it was like an 8-foot basketball player.
Legit.
Viewing party. Man,
I got a good one.
I hadn't thought this out.
Cat who lost 30 stacks on the coin toss. I would like to watch the rest of the game with him. Is he just chasing after Tails doesn't fail?
Who's this?
Probably, but somebody who's willing to bet $30K to lose $30K. It's kind of
yeah. He was on heads, 30 grand.
Oh, how about us when there was a doink? We all had extra point hits the crossbar or the upright. That was fucking sick.
I had the squares also for 7-7. So by that doink happening and they're missing it, I won the 7-7. Any
I had a shitty number on a square. I had 9 and 3. It's just not going to happen.
My viewing party. I want to be with Drake when he watches his Chief win, because I know he bet on the Chiefs big. It was like $750K or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And he bet 2 touchdowns for Patrick Mahomes.
Probably the same amount of emotion that I got winning whatever I won on the Purple Gatorade. It's not a big deal to him.
I got a viewing party. How about Tua looking at Cheetah's tweets throughout the whole entire Super Bowl?
Oh, what was Cheetah's tweets?
It's just a lot.
He had a lot of tweets.
A lot of FOMO. Like a lot of like these guys are incredible. Like Mahomes and Kelsey are the best duo. It's just stuff that
he also said we could beat these guys.
He said that.
It might make you. Some of them might make
False.
you look like, hey, buddy. I don't know. So it depends. If you're a sensitive guy, you can look at some of those tweets and just be like, he misses it there. He doesn't really like us.
That's a good one. I wasn't on Twitter, so I didn't see.
Fly on the wall.
Yeah.
The Brady house when he's sitting there watching the Super Bowl, wherever the hell he is, and obviously he's the GOAT. But things do change, and he's watching a guy make a meteoric rise towards his point.
Yeah, and
he's got a lot of time.
And he's got tons of time, but that's a lot of rings.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Fly on the wall. The typeface in the end zone for the Eagles, so they come up with a new font.
Sucks.
All right,
still sucks.
I'm not even saying that.
Yeah.
But then I'm just curious about the conversation. Okay, so we're going to get rid of the other typeface that's on the jersey, and it's we're going to keep both.
That's interesting.
So we got the old typeface on the jersey and the new typeface in the end zone. I would like to be a party to that conversation.
That's really interesting.
The cluster, the scoreboard cluster.
Oh, the score bug.
Strange.
Handsome to me. Clean.
Strange.
Efficient.
At the beginning, when it was single digit to single digit, it just looked like a massive technology.
I like the 7. I thought it was good. I always knew how many timeouts each team had.
Guys,
very clear.
I think this is about the time we end the show. I mean, I'm really run down, dangerously low in potassium, which of course happened because of that bowl game.
Acai.
But
Ralph's been coughing. Cowboys sneezing.
Yeah,
well,
these guys went hard.
It's a desert air. We went hard, bro, in the paint.
You're the one who's actually not coughing. You're what's EPA?
Yep.
You're low.
Oh, yeah.
When Greg Olsen was explaining EPA on the Jalen Hurts stat, I was like, just stop. I was like, none of this makes sense even to me.
He's got to get down. He's
like 19. The EPA, what that means is, and I think Greg Olsen's amazing. Don't get me wrong. But I don't do EPA. It's too many words, too many acronyms.
I look at
Greg
it.
did a good job.
Hey, listen, I leave that to the
Greg's
people.
awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
And I hope he stays the main guy at Fox.
Yep. That's another one. Viewing party, Tom Brady looking at Greg Olsen like, this guy's good.
Yeah. Burkhart, great.
Yeah, it was great. All right. That was our 2022-2023 NFL
Great season, guys.
Wow. Just like that.
Good stuff.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened.
We'll see you after Daytona.
And because the Gatorade was purple. Take care. And thank you to Crown.
And the next pod you'll hear will be in August, yeah?
Yeah.
No,
AKA
tune back in Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh.
The very
got it.
special guest.
Love you guys.
Love you, Kyle.
We love you.
Love you.
Listen to the full podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Wherever you want to get the podcast, you can get the podcast. Pretty simple. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Podcasts get pretty wild. This is real tame.